What is shaking Blue Jays fans? I am your host, Craig Borden. Welcome to Jays Latest. I'm here to talk all things Toronto Blue Jays with you and see what is happening. And got to be thinking a little bit better over the last couple of days as the Blue Jays have won their third game in a row. That's called a winning streak, people. If you happen to catch my Major League movie reference yesterday, we won two in a row. And if we won yesterday, that is called a winning streak. And yes, it has happened before. So here we are. The Blue Jays take a 6-3 win in Seattle yesterday. But it was a great outing all around the ball again. Once again, this team is starting to maybe finally put some things together, but we'll get to that in just 1 second because we got to just talk all things, team with this first. Mason Fluharty ends up getting the win. Jeff Hoffman gets the save, and the Blue Jays offense puts up a run outing on 10 hits. It was just, like I said, very good to see the Blue Jays knock the record of the Seattle Mariners down to 22-16. And when they were coming into town here, this was one of the hottest teams in baseball. And it was just, they were on cruise control at this point. And they finally broke the just JP Crawford's hitting streak yesterday. It ends at 16 games. So there was all sorts of things that are giving the Mariners difficulties with this Blue Jays team all of a sudden, because this is one of those teams that always seem to find a way to destroy us. But there was one gentleman that always seems to find a way to do us. And no, I'm not talking Cal Riley. I am talking our former ally in Roddy Tellez is the one that opened up the scoring for the Seattle Mariners. And this was a bomb. His sixth of the year. He takes this thing over the left center field wall. And if you all don't know that, that's a quasi left or a quasi opposite field home run for Roddy Tellez, which does not happen terribly often. But at the end of the day, Roddy Tellez has tons of pop. He's a great guy. This is the reason my Jaybird Watching podcast has the tagline that we do, because I ran into him in Buffalo while he was still playing there, and we ended up having beers together. And he goes, when describing the podcast to him, he's like, "Hey, so let me get this straight. You're the barroom chat for Blue Jays fans," as we were holding the beer in hand. And sure enough as heck, it stuck. So here you go. Now posting Jay's latest is the daily part of my, I'll say, Blue Jays shenanigans. So anyway, why don't we dive into what has been going right? Because things have been starting to click for this team overall. And looking at everything going well for the Blue Jays, like I said, it's been hitting, it's been pitching, it's been timely hitting, insane defense, even another ridiculous catch for Miles Straw in left field of all places yesterday. And he ended up coming with a big hit later in the game, which we will get to. But if this is what the team's going to look like, this is enough to do something special. But they have to find a way to do the stuff they've done in Seattle the last couple of days when they've kicked the Seattle Mariners in the teeth for, like I said, what has been up to this point in their season. They were the best team in baseball. So this is encouraging that the Blue Jays were able to go into their home field, and with not quite as many Canadian travelers and that home field advantage we usually get in Seattle. And well played on the protest part there, party people. Just saying. But it's been enlightening to see on this whole fact that the Blue Jays actually do have a way of scoring some runs, doing anchored around their great pitching and playing the stellar defense like we know, because we've had two straight team gloves or gold gloves. We know we can do this. So let's just walk through the rest of this, because after the Blue Jays get dug a hole 3-0 on, like I mentioned, the Roddy Tellez home run. Randy Rosarina came up with a laser beam double in the fourth inning, and then it was followed by a Leon Taveras single that, or sac fly, that drove in a run too. So the Mariners were up 3-0 at the beginning of this game. Then you go to the top of the fifth after they, expanded that out. Miles Straw ends up getting on base with a walk, I believe. Either way, he gets on and goes around the bases as Bo Bichette hits a wicked opposite field home run. This thing was just tattooed on a line. It goes over the right field wall in center, right centerish kind of ballpark. Gets the Blue Jays on the board. His second home run of the season, puts the Blue Jays down by 1 at that point. And then the legend of Addison Barger continues to grow, our Captain Jacked, because he's a little beefy. Comes up, and he actually, it's it was not a crazy good hit or anything, but at that point he got the ball in play and did not strike out. And then his hustle actually on a fielder's choice allowed George Springer to come in and score. So if he doesn't hustle out of the batter's box and get to first, that run doesn't count as there were 2 outs. So very cool to see. Um, and then he comes up again and singles in the 8th inning and scores George Springer just one more time. Why not? So Barger has been a heck of a find over the last couple of weeks, and he's only been continuing to improve. He did have 2 strikeouts and went 1 for 5, but he had the 2 RBIs and a run scored, which is exactly how you find a way to contribute in a ball game. Miles Straw would end up coming in right after that in the top of the 8th, hitting a single that would score Addison Barger and Ernie Clement right on his heels. So the right things are happening, and that was a fun little blooper that Miles Straw had hit there, but Ernie Clement and Addison Barger having some legs obviously led to the 6-3 scoreboard. So let's look on the mound. Bowden Francis had a normal Bowden Francis outing, gives up a home run, went 6 2/3 innings, allowed 6 hits, looked very improved over his last couple of outings. Was finding the plate a little bit better and dotting his spots. Only had the 1 walk while striking out 5. Coming out of the bullpen the way he has been, he might be one of. We talked about Brandon Little yesterday. Mason Fluharty might be one of the better finds in the Blue Jays minor league system here, as he went 4 outs, recorded 2 strikeouts to keep this thing moving. Ends up picking up his 3rd win out of the bullpen, and then Jeff Hoffman comes and nails it down with another 3 strikeout closeout inning. So that's 2 days in a row that he's come out of that bullpen and struck out each of the batters he's faced. So he has 6 strikeouts in the last 6 hitters that he's faced in Seattle so far this series. Slightly ridiculous. That's like MLB The Show level striking out on rookie. So very cool to see. I think the bigger question for what's going on here is what to expect as this team goes forward. Is now this would be what I would call the Blue Jays' normal way of playing a ball game, right? So if this is how the things are going to look normally, the question is what is going to be the ups? What's going to be the downs? How are they going to continue to do this kind of baseball? If this starting pitching and bullpen can do what they did last night and keep this in a 3-4 run game for any opposing team, there could be just enough offense here. And we've seen some of the ways that the Blue Jays can hurt you with stolen bases and all these other things over the last couple of days. Getting some home runs finally has been greatly beneficial for the Toronto Blue Jays. But at the end of the day, I think this team is going to feel very much like the Seattle series. This is what they should be doing to win ball games. So if they can find some way to tap into what they found here in Seattle, this could be a fun team to watch the rest of the leg. Because I know there was a couple points in the game yesterday where I was sitting there not expecting much to happen, and then all of a sudden I'm up, pumping my fists and getting all excited on some of those things. When Miles Straw hit that little bloop single and brought in the 2 runs, I almost jumped out off the couch. So that's the point. Baseball is fun. It looks like these guys might actually be having fun finally, because that was very abysmal the last week. So let's talk closing the series out for a possible sweep, party people. Jose Urena is going to be on the mound for the Blue Jays. He had his first start 5 days ago. 4 1/3, 2 earned runs, only allowed 4 hits and a walk while striking out 2. That is vastly different than what we were seeing from him when he was a Met, when the Blue Jays picked him up. He will be facing the young flamethrower that is Bryce Miller. Miller has been very up and down this season. In his last 3 starts, he's had 4 earned runs, no earned runs, and then 4. So it is what it is, I guess. But which guy's going to show up tonight? The crazier thing is he hasn't made it past the 5th inning in any of those starts, and 2 of them barely into the 4th. So the Blue Jays have a chance to maybe get to him a little early and start running with something, but we'll see what happens. The Blue Jays do not have anybody that has barely anything against them. It's like they haven't been facing Bryce Miller. Anthony Santander is the one that has the most at bats against him. He's batting 410 at bats, and he's got a home run. So there is something there to hang out with. Hopefully, he's back in the lineup today with whatever muscle maintenance tweak to his shoulder that they were talking about during the game yesterday. But that's about the only update I have on why he had been sitting. There's nothing that's blatantly saying he's on the IL or anything in that ballpark. And yeah, we just he was just starting to get going. I hope he doesn't have something serious going on because it would be blowed if he's on the injured list for any good amount of time. So, anyways, Blue Jays fans, make sure you tune in here every day as much as possible. We will be here on Jay's Latest. We are going to be, if you go over to the Birdwatching GC or Jay Birdwatching Podcast on X, Twitter, we're going to be auctioning off this Chris Bassett. We're not auctioning off, but giving away this Chris Bassett jersey from the giveaway night the other night. So, basketball themed jersey, City Connect Fun. We will make sure you click on that so you do that, and we will have some fun. And so find us every week at Birdwatching GC at Jade Birdwatching Podcast. That's every Wednesday evening for a live chat. And every day I am here, your host, Craig Borden, for Jay's Latest. So cheers, everybody. And let's go sweeping.